What's up, you guys? It's 2Bricks, and I am back after a fairly long hiatus. And if you guys don't know, I've been working on a movie. In my spare time, I do this, but my day job is not to do Lego, unfortunately. But that's done now, so that's really great. And I'm back to bring you guys the next MOC in my ultimate Play-set Scale series, which is, of course, the Havoc Marauder from the Bad Batch television show and also the Clone Wars. So I was really excited when we saw the official announcement that we're getting a set of this from Lego, though it looked a little bit undersized, which, you know, is understandable. Lego sets do have to work within a certain price range, and etc., etc. So I was pretty sure that I was going to go ahead and make one myself, and this is the result of that effort. So I'm really excited to show that to you guys today. And as usual, I'll go through all of the aesthetic features and the play features, and I'll take a look at the inside, which of course is fully detailed up, and you can fit all of your figures and more in there. So yeah, we've got a lot to take a look at today. Instructions for this are available on Rebrickable right now, and there's actually 3 parts to it. There's the main shuttle itself. There's a separate thing which is free, which is the stand that is included as well. I just wanted to break it up in case people just want to get the shuttle. And then also there's a additional third one, which is the figures that are the kind of additional characters of AZ3 and Omega, which did not come with the official set. And I wanted to make sure that you guys could kind of complete the crew. And so yeah, I have instructions for all of those things available. But yeah, the actual shuttle itself is all that you're going to be charged for as far as that goes. So yeah, be sure to check those out. Every purchase that you guys make supports the channel and lets me do more MOCs and spend more time being able to bring those things to you guys. So without further ado, let's jump in and take a look at this massive ship. All right, so before we get started on the actual shuttle itself, I just wanted to show you guys the stand and how that's connected and give you a look at how easy it is to mount and dismount from the model. So let me just pull this forward here and I'll show you guys. It literally just lifts off, and there is an area under here which is embedded into the Technic frame of the ship, where the stand just kind of slots into, and then these 2 little parts right here hug onto the main landing gear foot, and then just stays in there nice and securely. The stand itself is very, very sturdy, and you know, it's super basic. It's just a frame, but it's definitely not going anywhere, and it will support your shuttle. So once that's off, you can just place it right down on the table super easily on the landing gear. I didn't go with retractable landing gear this time because I wanted to make sure that the strength and the stability for this model is there, because it is fairly large and there's a lot of height to it, there's a lot of width to it, and I didn't want anything to be, you know, potentially collapsing on you, because this is a pretty heavy model. I think it's over 4 pounds of Lego. So yeah, I just went with fixed landing gear for this particular model, and I think that was the right decision. So yeah, let's take a look at this in comparison to the official set real quick. I'll just pull that in, or what's left of it, and give you guys a look at that. So as you can see, obviously the MOC here dwarfs the official set, and that was to be expected. It's basically exactly twice the height and twice the width of it, and this is still not fully minifig scaled. And sorry, the reason this is missing all these parts is because I put them into the shuttle. I wanted to make sure you guys could reuse as many of these parts in here as possible, so I've scavenged a lot to put them in here. But yeah, I really wanted to be able to convey the kind of size and presence that this shuttle has, like that first shot when it arrives in the Clone Wars, and it kind of just towers over everything, swoops in, and it has a very kind of dramatic entrance. I really wanted to capture that drama in the scale, but it's still not fully minifigure scale, because I don't think that's really necessary. I think it's plenty big enough right now, and it can house everybody. Has the whole squad in here, as well as 2 additional characters. So I really think that that's perfectly fine. You know, if it was any larger just for the sake of being officially minifig scale, although that is actually debatable as to what exactly constitutes minifig scale, I think it would just be for the sake of it, and it wouldn't actually give you guys any additional value. So yeah, let's take a look at some of these specific kind of features and little interesting things about the ship, and then we'll get a look at the interior. All right, so for any of you guys who don't know, this is the modified Omicron class shuttle piloted by Clone Force 99. It's basically like a special forces, think of it like a Black Hawk helicopter or something, that is designed to drop the Bad Batch into some kind of hostile, crazy combat zone. It's sort of stealthy. They don't really go too specifically into the exact kind of specs of what the ship can do in the show. But I think the idea that you're supposed to take from it is that it's a very rough and tumble attack shuttle. It's got, I think it was 8 total laser cannons, so there's 2 right here at the base of the wing, there's 2 on this side, and then there's 1 additional at the tip, and then that's mirrored on the other side. And then they never really specify if these are cannons or not, or if they're kind of like sensory equipment or something like that. But you can imagine those firing off as well if you want to. It's got this very kind of aggressive, sleek look at the front here. It looks very mean with the kind of forward-facing red eyes and this kind of prominent sort of shield, shielding, I guess, or armory in the middle of the kind of splitting that windshield. So it really does look like eyes that are just staring at you. And then it's got this kind of grill mouth. It almost looks like kind of a Darth Vader face on a shuttle, which is really, really cool. And then it's got this really long nose, which I love. It's very kind of, that helps with that kind of sleek, stealthy look, I think. We have a couple of spotlights here on either side. And then going back here, you can see, obviously, this is the whole wing assembly where these wings do flip down. And I'll show you guys that a little bit later on. Coming back here, we have engines with some adjustable engine flaps. So those can open up. And oops, my one has come detached, but there you go. So these can open up and kind of, you can set the angles of those to what you like. In the show, we mainly see them either kind of closed or open. And then there's a large manned gun turret back here. And so there's a swiveling adjustable cannon under here, which can give you about 180 degrees of freedom. And then it's got this kind of nice, again with the red windscreen here for the, and it's got a nice kind of wide angle of view for the person that is doing the firing. This actually doesn't seat a figure in real life. There's a kind of indication on the interior of what that space would be, but there's no figure that's able to fit in this tiny space and still, you know, give you the detail that you want. But I think definitely this is a good suggestion of it, and you could kind of picture a figure being in here if you squint your eyes and don't think about it too hard. So that's cool. There's a lot of nice kind of detailing back down in here with these grill pieces and the way that these plates all kind of line up to give you this smooth line that goes kind of right through the center of the ship here, which I really like. Achieving this angle of these whole kind of wing assemblies was really, really difficult to figure out the engineering of that, because in addition to attaching to the ship at a certain angle, it also has to hold onto these wings securely. So yeah, that was a headache to figure that out, but glad I did. This ship also has plenty of asymmetry throughout. You can see there's a lot of spots where there's patches of the sand blue, dark bluish gray, there's dark tan, there's a few brown spots and light bluish gray. That's intentional because if you guys have seen the show, it's a very kind of battered and worn, combat weary ship. It's been through a lot, so and throughout the course of season 1 of The Bad Batch, it gets shot at a whole bunch, and more panels and things get damaged. You can see them constantly doing repairs, and Tech is out here with a little tool doing some kind of welding or something pretty much every episode. So yeah, I really wanted to reflect that look in the ship, and that goes all the way through. I can fold down its wing here, and I'll just show you how that kind of continues up into here in this top fin section, and then also on the sides here, these panels, and down into the wings too. There's a lot of kind of different colored panels. I think the idea is that when this came off of the factory floor, it was painted blue, but it's got basically a dark gray. The base metal color is kind of a dark gray, and the blue paint has been slowly chipping away all these years. So that's kind of the idea, and I think it works pretty well. I think it gives it a good rugged look, and I did try to keep it not necessarily randomized, but to actually look at areas on the ship in the show that have these specific panels that are missing. So there's this large dark tan one here, and there's this big brown spot up at the front here. So I really wanted to reflect those and try to keep it fairly accurate. So there's that. Basically, that's all that there is to see with the exterior of the ship. I mean, you have these massively long wings that you can see here, the lightsaber hilt pieces to represent the cannons at the end. And then we have these nice, spotlights on, or I guess not spotlights, but visibility basically for the ship at the tips of the wings, like real aircraft have. And then let me just fold these down really quick, and I'll give you a look over here. So you can see I have nicely finished up the trim, which is consistently one plate thick all the way around. and that's used. I use a lot of different hinged plates and things to keep that secure, and you know, it's on here really nicely. It's not going anywhere. And I had previously experimented with brick built, sideways built kind of wings, like how I have the technique up here, which worked really well. But the angles of getting all of these different trim pieces to kind of line up, and the specific angles that are called for this wing, with this angle here being more steep than this side, and then having all of this kind of meet up, it just wasn't really working out, and it was less sturdy than I liked. So I went with a plate built design, which I think still looks perfectly fine. It's kind of, this shuttle is kind of unique because it has these sort of tie looking wings where they have the kind of the grill texture to it. So I think plates actually work out pretty well for this overall, and I'm not too mad about it. And then I just tried to finish it off here with some nice kind of corner cut off tile pieces and things to make sure that it really feels like it's complete, and this feels like a real frame that actually does frame this wing, and it's not just a bunch of extra things tacked onto the side. So hopefully you guys appreciate the look of that. I'm pretty happy with how all that turned out. So the last thing to take a look at here is the landing gear. So let me just give you a look at that. Like I mentioned before, these are fixed in place because stability reasons. I really wanted to just have these hook into the Technic frame underneath the ship, and for you to not have to worry about them collapsing on you. And they're very, very sturdy, and they're built with Technic lift arms that just kind of key into the bottom structure here of the ship. And I think that works out really well. You know, they're not going anywhere. They're very, very sturdy, and they don't really get in the way, like when you're playing with the ship and you're holding it from the underside. They're definitely not going to be like, you know, encumbering you in any way. And I think that they're small enough that it doesn't really impact the look too badly. So I'm pretty happy with how all of that worked out. So hopefully you guys dig it as well. So yeah, let's take a look at some of the play features and interior details of the ship. All right, so what can you do with the ship? So obviously you've already seen the wings folding up and down, and these actually act as stoppers right here to keep the wings at the correct angle, as you saw them in the beginning of the video. So that's really important because you don't want those to just flop down like they do with the official Lego set. It's kind of awkward. So right here we have the opening entrance ramp, which just lines up absolutely perfectly flush with the ground there, which I really, really like. It's a little bit steep, but I think you can plausibly imagine the figs coming up here onto the ship. And I think actually in the show, it does tend to hover a little bit like that, so you can set the angle to be a bit more shallow and give your guys a little easier time on their knees coming up into the ship there. And then I wanted to make sure that this whole roof section here would come off to give you really easy access. Let me just actually fold down these wings here so I can give you guys a bit more light, so it's not all kind of blocked off by the wings. All right, so let me just pop this off and show you guys. So there's some nice detailing on here. I really like how this all matches up. The black detailing runs right the way through there, and I think the shaping worked out really well. Plus I have these Magic Wand pieces that indicate this specific kind of this detailing here with these three elements that point forward. I'm not really sure what they're supposed to be, but I think the Magic Wands pull that off really well. And then in here we can see we have the figs that you would hope to see. You've got Hunter, Echo, and Wrecker up at the front of the ship here. There's this single beam here that acts as a support panel piece, but you can actually remove this. I'll show you that in a little bit to get even easier access in here. But for now, let me just show you who and how these guys are set up. So Wrecker has a special seat, which is just made of two jumpers there, and that allows him with this kind of area that's designed to fit his particular armor set and everything, because he's got very bulky kind of shoulders and bulky armor there. So I just made him a special spot where he could sit a little bit offset and not have to worry about trying to squeeze him into a regular sized minifig chair. And I also think that's cool because the Bad Batch have to come through here and like run, you know, to the back of the ship. So when Wrecker's not sitting in there, it gives it a little bit of extra space as well, so it doesn't feel like it's too cramped. So let me swivel this around and I'll give you guys a look at the consoles and everything that are in the front here. All right, so here it is from the other side. You can see here we have a nice kind of central console with a lot of different instrument panels and things on it. And then we have, it's really hard to see from this angle, but either side there's one of these more specialized red sort of display pieces that you can imagine the boys looking at. And then there's a little bit of an indication here for the red side window that's kind of a triangular shaped window in the actual model, but I just wanted to give an indication that they can see out of that. And then here you can see the way that I've attached these windshield pieces at that very specific angle where they kind of come down and also lean inwards, where it kind of has that compound angle to it. So that was pretty tricky to figure out how that works, and light actually can get through because this is all transparent plastic through here, so a little bit of light does seep in, even though these pieces here are not transparent. But it was important to me to get a little bit of that, at least if you have the lid on and you're looking through the ship from the back, you can see a little bit of light coming in. It's a nice look. But yeah, so there are the two regular seats for Hunter and Echo. Whoops. Let me pull those guys out, and I'll come around this side and give you a look at both of the seats there. I think that's a pretty nice look, and again, the window is mirrored on that side, and there's just a couple of kind of panel pieces to give it a little bit of finish and just kind of look like figs are supposed to be in here. And I think it just kind of I think it's a nice look. I think it's a very believable approximation of what we see in the show as well. And then moving back on down the ship, you can see here the section that I mentioned is pretty easy to remove, which is just this kind of structural support beam. And then that gives you a lot nicer access here into the corridor. And then back here we can see a spot for my custom AZ3 figure, which I'm very, very happy with. He was a fun little surprise appearance towards the end of season 1. And there's no official word as to whether or not he's going to actually be in season 2 or anything like that. But I just really liked this character being in here, and he's kind of a Clone Wars OG character. So I thought it was fun, and I wanted to put a little spot here. So there's just a single stud on the wall where you kind of stud him in offset, where it fits his little, his little backpack and head and everything can fit in there without getting in the way of the roof when that's back on. So I really like how that works out. And then moving further back here, you can see this is the entrance to the rest of the ship. So it does all connect fully, like you can put figures down through there. And then for quick, easy access, you can just lift this panel back and you can see the rest of the ship here. But all of this section here actually does come off as well, but it just takes a little bit of fiddling. So I'll just show you that in a second. But I just wanted to give you guys a look. Both of these sides do come off here, so you can see through both sides, and you can quickly just access your figures if you want to place them in there or take them out. So you can see Gonki and Tech and Omega back there as well. But let me go ahead and remove this part, and I'll show you how that works, and then we can get kind of full access to the entire interior space here. Okay, so how to remove this. So I have, this is going to be really tricky with one hand, but I have this crate under here, which is actually a nod to something we see in the show, where you have a kind of secret smuggling compartment up here, and some of the boys do hide up in there at one point. And but I just made this whole kind of detachable crate in here. Let me just see if I can get it from the back. Just pull that out. So it's attached with a couple of studs up into the roof section there, and this just contains the accessories that the guys don't actually need all of the time. So we do have some additional hair and helmet pieces and some bulky backpack here for Tech. So when I'm not using those, I like to just put them in this crate. It's a simple build that has just enough space to fit those things, but you can obviously configure it to fit other stuff in there if you want. And you can kind of like figure out and make it fit. But those tend to be the things that I'm not using most of the time on the figures, so I just stash them in there. So then with that removed, there's a pin here which acts as a kind of locking mechanism. So you literally just pull that out. It's not attached with anything, it just sits in these two Technic holes right here, and it just connects the bottom frame to the top. And then also there is a part right here, which, sorry, I awkwardly have to get my head in here again. Actually, I need two hands for this. Let me go on the stand. Okay, so yeah, for this part, you just put a finger on either side of this 3-long Technic beam. You just pull that out. It's connected to 2 Technic pins, one on the top and one on the bottom. And that just really helps to secure the back end of this whole top wing section here. So with those 2 elements removed, you can go ahead and just pop off this entire top section right here. So it's the full top fin, and the turret all goes with it. And you can see here this is a pretty sturdy unit, and you can just take it off all in one piece, place that to the side, and now you have full access to the entire interior here, where you can see, like I said, Tech is sitting at his little specialist tech station. Gonki is back here, and Omega. So I just want to give you guys a look at all these parts individually. Oh, and of course Crosshair sitting back there looking mean. So yeah, let me go back to freehand and I'll show you guys all of these different parts of the ship. So with everything opened up, I'll give you now the full look of just the entire length of the inside of the ship, and just how much room you have to really play and place figures in here. So we've taken a look at the front half already here, so let me just remove Crosshair from his seat back there. So this is the standard crosshair figure from the Bad Batch Shuttle. And then you can see here, let me actually take out Gonki as well. Now this is a kind of a weird, annoying design flaw with Lego's Gonk droids, that their legs, their feet will just stay planted if you put them on a studded base. So you'll just have to look at Gonki's feet right there for a second. But here are the 4 kind of emergency seats. And I did toy around with kind of various ideas for a strapping mechanism that would hold the figures in place. But ultimately, it was just too bulky, and I really wanted to have nothing kind of interfering with these panels as they come up and just taking up a lot of extra space here. So ultimately, I just decided to leave that part out. I could have pulled it off, I think, if I kept trying different things forever and ever, but I just didn't think it was that big of a deal. And if you have the 4 red seats here, I think it's enough of an indication. The reason that I used these specialist kind of bracket pieces for the back here is if the characters do happen to be wearing their packs, it kind of just gives you the look of a seat back, but with, sorry, let me just get crosshair in here. There we go. It gives you the look of a seat back without the need for anything to get interfered with. So, like for example, if Tech is wearing his backpack, this gives you a little bit of extra room back here to play around with. So that's that. We have a removable weapons rack right back in here. So this just slots into 2 studs that are back here. And this thing contains all of the weapons for all of the batch. So this is Crosshair, Sniper Rifle. These are Tech's dual pistols, Hunter's knives. And my knives for Hunter got scratched up almost immediately from just placing them in his hands, which I was very annoyed about. I have to let Lego know about that. It's kind of an interesting issue. And then this is Echo's pistol and Wrecker's blaster here. So all of the standard weapons fit, and I put them in this configuration like this, where it kind of creates an O shape or U shape flow to the way that they're placed in there, to make sure that this seat that can swivel with Echo in it with Tech in it can actually swivel all the way around. So that's kind of cool. Wanted to make sure that all fit. And then you can see here, let me take Tech out, and you can see that kind of little console and holo screen here that they have, which is where they get a lot of their information. They log on to the Star Wars version of the internet and kind of get all their news and updates and things of what's going on in the galaxy. So that's important. And then moving back, we have a representation, of course, for Omega and Omega's room. So let me pop the Omega figure out, and I'll just show her to you separately. So there she is. So I gave her a bracket just to be able to attach her bow to her back if you want. But this uses one of those Cloud City Security Forces torsos with some gray arms attached and the medium length gray legs. And I think this is a Luna Lovegood face on here with the hair. But I just think that just works out really well, and I think this is a good look for Omega. A pretty decent approximation of what we see in the show, although of course the insignia isn't quite right. But can't really help that. But yeah, there she is. She's such a lovable and endearing character in the show. I think she just needed to be included, and her room is such a wonderful little feature. So minor spoilers, I guess, for season 1, but they actually create a little space just for Omega at the back of the ship, where they convert the gunner turret into a special little room just for Omega. So they put up these fairy lights, which I have represented here with these strings of lights up here. And there's a couple of little kind of storage areas, and there's a curtain as well, which I've represented with this minifig cape, which came in the most recent Mandalorian battle pack. And that just acts as a little kind of doorway to give her some privacy in her room back there. So I think that all works out really well, and it all just hooks into this really integral Technic frame that is, a part of the ship. So there's this part right here and this part right here, which are kind of crucial to holding the entire structure together. So being able to work that in around it was really important to me and really cool. And then if I just lift this up here, you can see a simple representation for Omega's energy bow. So she has a gold kind of pink energy laser bow, which is very reminiscent of what we saw in Jedi Fallen Order for the Knight Brothers. They have these kind of energy bows too. It can fold out here. It's using those new Harry Potter Magic Wand pieces in the gold, which came recently with the 20th anniversary sets. So she can have it in her open mode or fold it away, so it's more compact, just like in the show. And then Omega can just hold on to that, place it in her hands and make it look like she's firing off some energy bolts. So yeah, really happy with all of that. I think that's exactly the look you want to see for Omega, and she all just kind of fits in there nicely. You can tuck away the bow, I put these little kind of storage boxes off to the side here so she can just tuck her bow away in one of those. And then there's a very, very simple representation here for the red windows to make it look like, you know, she's looking basically out of this space back here. So she would be the one that is firing that turret. So yeah, really, really simplistic. Just a couple of trans red plates back in here, and one trans light blue stud just to represent the idea of some kind of targeting screen or something of that sort. So that's that. I think that works out great, and Omega just looks so at home and so comfortable in this little space. I absolutely love it. And then when you, you know, you just kind of make sure these are tucked away when you close up the panels, and they don't interfere really. So that all works out just fine. So there we go. There's that. All right, so I've placed Omega and her bow, tech, weapons rack, Crosshair and Gonki, and all of the other figures back in their particular spots. So now I just wanted to show you when I put this back on how to attach it, you know, because it's a little bit intimidating looking when you first do it, but it's actually pretty simple. So I just went ahead and attached the crate back in here, and you can see where that sits. It just has a little bit of extra room there around the Technic pin so that I can access that. And then I just line it up where the back part here tucks over the back. These studs here engage with this Technic brick part. And then if you want, you can just place the front portion on here as well. And that just shows you where it all should line up. So it has a total of 4 studs in the front here and in the back there. And you just place this down on top of here like this. Put the key with the red portion facing inwards here. So that just goes in like that. And then hooks in to that second hole, so that's nice and secure. And then also we take these the 2x3 Technic beam that I showed you guys before, sorry, the 1x3 Technic beam, and I'll try to do it one-handed, but it's really difficult. But here we go. So we slide that on there, and then click it into place. Let me make sure I actually get it. There we go. So that's back in there like that. And now with all of that said and done, you can close it. And you can actually lift the entire shuttle up. This is something I didn't show you guys before, and it makes me nervous every time I do it, but I know that it can handle it. You can lift the entire shuttle up from this portion right here. So it is strong enough to do that. I don't know why you would want to stress your parts out doing it that way. You can't lift it from the actual wing portion because this is attached. It's brick built and it's attached sideways with just a few studs. So all of this will come off immediately, but this portion right here where you see the frame, you can totally grab that, and you can just you can move the shuttle around by that, you know, no problem. So that's really cool. That was something that a lot of people complained about with the main official Lego set, is that you couldn't lift up this wing portion without it just flipping up and the entire thing kind of coming up, and it felt a little bit awkward that way. So this way it's nice and secure, and those 2 Technic parts right in there just connect the 2 frames together, and there's kind of a lot of Technic structure running all the way through this part as well and up into this wing. And so that just keeps it secure enough that you can do that. All right, guys, so I just want to go ahead and show you a little bit of how this handles as a toy, because I know that if you guys have younger Lego fans in the house and they want to be playing around with this thing, it's important to know. So you can pick it up really easily here by these 2 side portions. This is all very sturdy in here with a Technic frame built into the inside, so that's not going to go anywhere on you. You can actually also do it with one hand, where you just pick it up from the back here and you just grip onto these kind of side panels with your thumb, and you place your hand underneath the landing gear there. So that works out really well. You can totally do that, and you know, for swooshing, that totally works as well. So here, let me just extend out the wings, and you can totally do the one-handed swoosh in here. I know it's a little awkward with the angle, but yeah, that totally works. These wings are alongside here. You can see I'm just grabbing them by the kind of main bulky portion of the wing in the center here, and just folding those up, and it's absolutely no problem at all. And they're on the ratcheted joints here that give you enough tension. 2 ratcheted joints here and here that give it plenty of strength when you're moving it in and out, so it's not just going to like fall down or anything like that. It holds its tension perfectly fine, so you can set the angle like that if you want to. And but it was really important to me that it could go all the way up to horizontal as well, so I think that's a really important part of the overall look of the ship. You can also just grab it by the front here, and you can just pick it up that way. I'm just putting, you know, all the pressure underneath here on the main part where the kind of Technic structure stops, which is right under where this ramp the ramp part is right there. So That is all very, very sturdy. I obviously wouldn't recommend just like grabbing it by the front or anything like that. I mean, you totally can. It's not gonna like fall off or anything. Like these side panels here are just held in at an angle with a couple of studs. So that is the only part that I would say may fall off on you when you're just playing it with it regularly. But it really is just, you just snap it back into place with a couple of studs, you know, on this one piece right here. So really, really easy. And you don't have to worry about setting the angle because you just pinch it to go kind of flat, so it just lines up with all the other pieces, and then you just pinch the end closed, and then that all just is fine. So yeah, overall I think it's a very rugged and durable and play with the bull model, and I'm not really worried about anything like that. And then when you want to just place it back on the stand, just grab it like so, and you make sure that you line up that the hole in the Technic structure right there, and pop it in there, and it'll just sit in there quite happily. So with the wings up or down, no problem. And then you can bring those down to their full extension, and you can see the shuttle in all its glory. So you can see here it does wobble side to side. There's some flex in the actual Technic parts a little bit. But when you first put it on there, you may notice a little bit of that kind of, you know, it takes a second to settle. But that's just a kind of a design feature of Technic bricks. They're designed to have a little bit of flex in the parts, so they don't just snap, and they're not going to go anywhere on you. So really, really happy with how all of that works out. And just having this the foot here just kind of be hugged into this part just kind of really shows you where to place it, and I think is a good little kind of guide. And I think it just works out really well. And I think this thing on a shelf with the wings extended like this on the stand looks absolutely fantastic, and it just really has so much presence. So really, really happy with that, and the ability to just have it on the shelf, but then also you know, on the stand, and also just pop the things off and really just play with the model as if it was on the ground, I think is a really nice part of that as well. So it's definitely not, it kind of lines up with my philosophy for the Ultimate Playset Scale series, where I want it to be equal parts displayable and playable, and I think that I've got that going on this one. So so yeah, really, really proud of how all of that turned out. So there you go, guys. Let's just take a look at some of the comparisons to the other Ultimate Playset Scale sets, and then we'll wrap up the video. All right, guys, so there is the Bad Batch. There is the Havoc Marauder, and you guys can take a look here at the kind of scale comparisons scrolling by right now from some official sets and some of the other MOCs that I've done in this series. So you can see there it's pretty hefty. I mean, it's not gigantic. This thing isn't impractical to display, I would say. I think it's just a really nice size ship, and you do get a few different options because you can display it on the landing gear with the wings up, you can display it on the stand with the wings down. You know, it's more compact obviously with the wings up in terms of its footprint on a table or on a shelf. So I think, yeah, I think it has a decent amount of options for that. And then of course for play, I think it works really well. The ability to fit all of these guys in here and, you know, load them up and take them on a mission and pull out whomever you want to, I think works really well for play. So I'm really genuinely super proud of this model, and I hope you guys like it too. And I hope that you guys, if you do end up purchasing them, you have an easy time getting a hold of the bricks. And one thing that I think is really cool and makes it a little bit easier as well is this thing is so kind of patchworked in terms of all the different damaged areas and things like that. I think, you know, I would encourage a little bit more creativity as far as like if you want to replace parts with different colors, if you want to say that there's a red or green panel, go for it. You know, I think that it's definitely warranted. And I think it definitely fits with the look of this ship as far as how it is in canon. So I think that's really, really cool, and one thing I really appreciate about this. One final note, I do have these stickers applied. I forgot to mention that earlier on. These are from the old, I believe it was a Vulture Droid set, but I included the link to the sticker sheet if you guys do want to get those. I just think it gives a little bit of extra visual detail here at the front with the randomization of those blue panels, and then under here these gray panels. So yeah, if you guys do want to get the sticker sheet and use those as well, that is included in the parts list. So you guys can definitely go ahead and grab it. I would say I don't think it's essential to the look, but I think it definitely adds to that without making it feel too, you know, it gets to the front and then all of a sudden it's just one color. I think that kind of helps to keep that look going. So that's just me though, that's my personal preference. You guys can do whatever you like. So there you go, guys. So that is gonna do it for this tour. Sorry it was so long, but there's a lot to get through. This thing took me absolutely ages to design, mostly because of the engineering and structural challenges involved in just making this thing practical for you guys to be able to have and build and have it just not collapse on you constantly. So that was something that was really, really challenging, and all of the different aesthetic portions of it that I wanted to get just right. It was really, really hard. So thank you guys for sticking with me through this. If you made it to the end, I really appreciate it. If you're not planning on buying the instructions or anything, totally fine. Just go ahead and drop a like if you want to support the channel, or leave a comment. Let me know what you think about it. Every little bit helps. So I really appreciate that, you guys. I will see you on the next video. Hopefully it won't take as long to get to the next video. And may the force be with you.